Not all home renovations add value to your home. In fact, some may even make the value go down. So before you grab a sledgehammer or order new countertops, let's talk about what renovations actually make you money when you try to sell. Because trust me, I've seen both. The homes that sell fast because they made intelligent upgrades to their house, and those that are sitting because someone got a little too HGTV crazy. Here in central Indiana, buyers, well, they can be picky. And in the current market that we're in, they're getting a little more picky than maybe they were a few years ago. They'll pay a little extra for homes that feel updated, but they're not willing to fund your dream movie theater down in the basement or your $80,000 kitchen upgrades. Now, for every A+ renovation, there's also the D- renovations that aren't passing the test. Let's go over the upgrades that might look impressive, but they're not passing the ROI test. Let's start with over-personalized rooms. Wine cellars, they're great if you like wine. A movie theater room, great if you like movies and sitting down in a theater type setting in your house. Maybe a large mural on your wall. All of those are fine while you're living there, but there's no guarantee that someone who wants to buy your house is looking for that niche of a upgrade to the house. Those kind of things can cost a lot of money, but aren't necessarily appealing to a majority of buyers. Next would be luxury upgrades in an entry-level neighborhood, or any neighborhood for that matter. Here's a hint. You never want to be the most expensive house in a neighborhood, which goes along with you never really want to be the largest house or the largest property in the neighborhood, because you're setting the bar at the absolute highest level for all of the other properties in your neighborhood. Same thing, you don't want to be the lowest level property in your neighborhood either. But having luxury upgrades in your neighborhood can unfortunately price you out of what would be a regular price point for the neighborhood. And now you're having a hard time selling because people are looking around in that neighborhood and realizing, I don't need to pay this exorbitant amount of money for all these upgrades that these people did, because none of the neighbors in the hood are living up to that. And last, how about additions that break the neighborhood average? Kind of similar to point number 2, but the idea of adding, I don't know, a 4th car garage in a neighborhood where everybody else has 2-car garages or maybe a 3rd car garage, well, that's going to be spending a lot of money for something that just doesn't fit with the rest of the neighborhood. Also talking about things you might add on to the house or the property. Let's say you want to put a basketball court in the backyard. Great for your kids while they're young and they're going to utilize that. But when you go to sell it, does everybody need a basketball court when they want to buy your house? Not necessarily. Things like that can unfortunately hurt your ROI because you've thrown a lot of money into this for something that works great for you while you live there, but it's not going to equate to resale value to get your money back when it comes time to sell. Think of your home like a group project. You could be the person in your group who carries all of your partners to the finish line, but in the end, you all get the same grade. All right, lesson learned. Not all renovations are created equal. But here's the cool part. You can still raise your property's value without spending a fortune. Let's talk about the small stuff that makes a big impression. Starting off with fresh paint and modern neutrals. Do you have rooms in your house that have bold paint colors, maybe some fancy decorative paint ideas that were put on the wall years ago? Great for you while you live there, but honestly, when someone comes to look at your house, they want something that's more neutral, something that they can work any of their furniture into so that they can transition very easily into your new house. Heck, they may paint it later, but that's not your problem. Get rid of the bold paint colors. It's not unusual for people to be out looking at houses and they walk into a house where all the paint is white or the agreeable gray, very popular. Back in the 90s, it was more of a beige color, which seems to be kind of coming back. Well, there's a reason that those colors are seen so often in homes that are for sale because they're neutral. A lot of furniture and design options can go with those colors and transitioned into the new homeowner's theme very easily. If you have rooms that are purple or a very vibrant blue, I had a bathroom in my old house that had neon green paint in my kid's bathroom. I made sure to paint that before we wound up putting the house on the market because I knew that that paint wasn't necessarily going to work for all buyers. Another easy upgrade is updated light fixtures and hardware on your cabinets and drawers. Those kind of things do stand out. They're relatively inexpensive. Now, everything costs money, of course, but in terms of expense, these are relatively cheap. So you can add new light fixtures that can add a bold change and even more light into a room, drawer pulls and cabinet hardware that are outdated, and we all know what outdated means when we see those things. New hardware in your drawers and your cabinets, new light fixtures can add pops to your rooms and your fixtures that can add much needed attention in a positive way as opposed to things that are dark and outdated. How about smart thermostats and LED lighting? Number one, those are modern upgrades that most people expect in houses nowadays, and buyers would love to see those upgrades made before they move in so they know they don't have to do that later on. Being able to transition into a smart thermostat or LED lighting where they can change the colors or dim them or make changes in whatever way works for them, add appeal to a buyer's thought on your house. How about outside? A simple landscaping upgrade. Maybe trim the bushes. That could be nice, right? Add new flowers, maybe take out some bushes and add in some new ones. Maybe take out some bushes and just leave it be because it opens up the space. But simple landscaping, and yes, that sometimes does cost you a fair amount of money, but sometimes you can do things that are inexpensive to add pop to the front face of your house. Small updates like these can sometimes add 200 to 300% return on that investment when you go to sell it. And maybe more importantly, they photograph beautifully so that when people see your house online, they notice those things right away as opposed to having to be in person and see them for themselves. Of course, we can't talk about upgrades without talking about trends, because buyers in 2025 going into 2026, they want different things than home buyers wanted even just a few years ago. Spoiler alert, the big jetted tub, that's not making a comeback. So what's hot right now for Indianapolis buyers? Well, let's start with energy efficiency. Buyers are looking for windows and insulation that provide energy efficiency to the home, which will cut down their costs later on. So if you have not upgraded your windows in quite a while, maybe you've lived in a house for 15 plus years, or you bought it used when you first purchased the house back in the day and you didn't upgrade windows, now might be a good time to consider that possibility. And maybe go up in the attic and check how much insulation you have. Another trend right now continues to be home offices. Since 2020, we have a lot more folks working at home. So a home office space, whether that's going to be a flex space like a loft, or maybe another bedroom that's potentially smaller and maybe too small to be a bedroom for a family member, potentially that can be an office space. Think about that and how you want to maybe advertise it. A room can have a closet in it that is, of course, traditionally considered a bedroom. But if you stage it before buyers come in, set it up as an office, it gives someone a thought that, you know what, this doesn't have to be a bedroom, this could be a future office. How about outdoor upgrades? People want outdoor spaces for entertaining or just lounging. Pergolas, nice decking out back, patios that have coverage or large patio spaces for dining with the grill and eating outside or just hosting family and friends over. That's what people want when they look out back. What can we do with this space that can make the inside of my house kind of transition into the outside? Things that are losing steam. As I mentioned at the beginning, big tubs. Whether it's a garden tub that doesn't have any jets in it, or whether it's a large tub that has jets like it's a jacuzzi, honestly, that's more of an 80s and 90s theme. People really don't want that anymore because they realize they just don't utilize that space. Formal dining rooms. How many of us eat in formal dining rooms anymore? Again, that's old school. That is 50s and 60s, even into the 80s and sometime in the 90s. Those were very popular. Nowadays, people don't use dining rooms. They eat in their kitchen if they have kitchen space for dining. Heck, unfortunately, lots of people eat around the TV, so they don't really even need an eat-in kitchen anymore. Or you have a kitchen that has a large island, maybe a large countertop space with some room for legs underneath, where people can eat at the bar top or can eat at the countertop in the kitchen. They really don't want formal dining rooms anymore. And then there's dark interiors. People want natural light, lots of windows, so definitely want to suggest that when you're staging your house, you do whatever you can to add as much natural light to the area. Now, unfortunately, we can't all add windows where there currently aren't any windows in our house, but you want to do everything you can to make it seem as bright and open as you possibly can. So what's your story? Have you done a renovation that paid off, or potentially a renovation that totally bombed? Drop that down in the comments. And if you're thinking about upgrades before selling here in the Indy area, do me a favor and reach out. You can find my contact down in the show notes. I can help you figure out what will boost your home's value versus what will just boost your Home Depot bill. Thanks for watching.